Duplicity is a roller coaster.
It
So,
is.
my first question is for both of you because Duplicity explores themes of justice, guilt, and betrayal. So, what was the most emotionally challenging aspect of stepping into Marley and Fila's journeys, and how did you prepare for like those intense moments? And we can start with you, Megan.
Um, it's tough because I don't want to, spoil anything, but there was just there was a line that I needed to not cross. It was something that Tyler really wanted to make sure that I didn't go over into. And so having to somehow play, don't spoil anything, but somehow having to play different emotions all at once and make them believable,
Mhm.
and make them human, for Fila. I did find that to be very challenging, but it was actually what drew me to the character. It made it fun. So, yeah.
Um, there were so many, I mean, anything that's kind of close to your heart is going to be difficult
Mhm.
in the best way to
Yeah.
play. I I had my own personal history with losing a family member to murder, and I felt connected to this role because there were so many elements to it that made me really realize that there's so many injustices, things that I've experienced personally in my own
Mhm.
personal life that, never got, never got the visibility or the justice it deserved. And then things that I deal with as a humanitarian, and there's things within the industry. And there were so many of these moments that really did feel connected to my own life. And those are hard to bring to screen because you have to be vulnerable and you have to
Yeah.
admit
Mhm.
on some level if you feel like you failed personally by not being able to make the situation better or bring justice to something or get
Mhm.
people to care about a cause. And maybe I'm not powerful enough, maybe I don't have a big enough voice, and you have to kind of go through your own process of finding your own voice
Mhm.
within a character like this. So it was not easy, but it was definitely therapeutic for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah, I was definitely going to ask if it was cathartic in any way. My last question is also another one for both of you all because as you mentioned, Kat, like this film tackles real world issues like police brutality and corruption within the justice system. So what conversations do you hope Duplicity sparks, especially in today's social and political climate? And we
Well, I
can
feel like, yeah, I feel like we're having those conversations online a lot. I
Mhm.
feel like, especially with the climate right now, I know that we are every day having the conversation of what can we do to make this country better, to build our community and continue to team up together, to make our impact stronger, to make our voices louder. And I think we just need to stay focused on our power and our capabilities and what we have to say, and stand together and continue these conversations, right?
Mhm.
We cannot allow the conversation to become dormant. We can't allow ourselves to become desensitized because it might not be talked about in the media, or it might get,
Mhm.
just another life that has been labeled irrelevant because of the color of a kid's skin. Like, we have to be able to consistently keep the conversation going
Mhm.
and remember our power. And that is something, especially as Black women, we just have to consistently remember our power and our worth and speak up 10 toes down.
Mhm.
This is the first time we get to see you play a villain.
Mhm.
And tell me, what drew you to the role of Lieutenant Moore, and what was like maybe the most interesting part of becoming him?
Um, I always wanted to play a police officer. I'd never done one in a film. And obviously, clearly we can talk about it because you mentioned it. I don't get the opportunity to play the villain, to play a bad guy. And I've been in the industry a minute, and so people get used to seeing you one way, and you kind of have to really, really fight to get them to see you as something else. And so whenever given that opportunity, and really credit just has to go to Mr. Tyler Perry, because a lot of times he'll see something in an actor that man, that actor might not even see in himself and her or herself. And once you get that vote of confidence, I think it's just, once he hires you, now you just go, you just drop in. So it was great. I enjoyed it. I look forward to playing more roles that again take me outside of the box.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And for you, Tyler, Duplicity really thrives on deception. And so both of your characters actually play a role in keeping us as audience members on our toes. Talk to me about how you navigated the layers of Tony's manipulative nature. And yeah, what was that like for you?
It was lots of fun. I mean, from start to finish, regardless of what he had on the surface, there was a lot going on. So every aspect of it was fun. I think for me, um, when you figure out the different ways he's being manipulative, this is how we figure out who Tony is. Because he's after the same thing. He's got the same obstacle in front of him, in terms of Marley. But he's got so many different choices in terms of how he decides to get around it. Does he let her take the reins for a little bit? Does he, put a smoke screen in front of her and kind of confuse her a little bit? Does he take the reins? I think by the time we get to that third act at the end, he makes a very direct decision. He's going to take it into his own hands. But I mean, from like I said, from start to finish, regardless of what he was choosing, regardless of how he chose to go after what he wanted, it was still something that was fun, and I chose not to judge.
Yeah, and I loved it because in watching, I could have never guessed that. Y'all did a really good job. And so, my last question is for both of you all, because this is such a timely story, because the film wrestles with issues of race, justice, and the power dynamics in law enforcement. And so, starting with you, Ronrico, what do you hope audiences take away from the film's exploration of those themes?
I think whenever you make a movie or you make a television show, you just want the audience to be entertained. You want them to enjoy it. And if you can, in some way, shape, or form, raise just a little bit of consciousness, I think that's a bonus. And so, I don't, what do I want them to give from it? I want them to be entertained. Um, and um, and then to see how difficult it is at times to find justice. I think a lot of times we want justice and we want it quickly, but you have people that actually will fight against that justice, right? And so you see that in this film, and those are people that really shouldn't be fighting against justice. They should be doing the opposite, fighting for justice, but they, are constantly, and I think it's like that in real life, which is why I think justice can sometimes be very uh, we don't get it at times when we should, because there are people in play that they don't want justice. They want the opposite of it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
entirely.
think yeah, I think just being able to piggyback off what RonReaco was saying is just be able to take away like a full spectrum of the story.
Mm.
The surface of it is one that's a slow burning thriller. It's really juicy. It's like, for I don't know if it's like an hour and 50 minutes or whatever it is, but like just under 2 hours, it's going to be a lot of fun and lots of just twists and turns, man. It's such a dynamic story. But then underneath that, there's there's some social injustices that are really going on
Mm.
that always deserve to be at the forefront of the conversations when we're battling this on a daily. So I feel like being able to take the fun away from it in terms of the storyline, but then also to take the just the like the depth of what we're going through as a culture as well.